Okay, so I did not want to start the podcast without having everything that I believed I needed. That includes hardware and software. I wanted a specific mic, I wanted specific software, I wanted a specific green screen, um, just specific things, lighting, you name it. However, I have not started because of that, so I am going to go ahead and start. I said that I would start in May, and it is already a day late and 19 hours later. So I am Astra Renee McCants West. I will give the disclaimer that the views and opinions of this podcast, video podcast, vodcast, Vadi, as some people have nicknamed it, are mine. They are not the views and opinions of anyone else, other than I also have to say it's for entertainment purposes. I have yet to decide on an exact name, but I do know that I will be ending with "y'all better laugh," because it is an extremely serious topic. Domestic violence, child sexual abuse, or they are extremely serious topics. They're touchy. They strike nerves like nothing I've ever seen before in my life. And they also create silence and a tremendous amount of tension. However, my goal is to bring some light and maybe kind of like a comfort in a sea of uncomfortability. So, because I do not know exactly where to start, and I've thought about it multiple times, I believe I should start with, do you have any questions about domestic violence? Do you know what domestic violence encompasses? Do you know, can you recognize domestic violence in someone else? And more importantly, can you recognize domestic violence in your own situation? Do you believe it is physical only? Do you believe it manifests itself in other ways? Do you believe it? Where does it begin? Where do you believe it begins? At what age and for what sex, what gender, what race? I believe I can direct individuals to a plethora of information and touch in on some close to real life examples. I will say that. And also, a goal of mine is to create this platform so that individuals that do not wish to be identified can gain knowledge and answers without the fear of being disclosed. So I guess my first question is, do you have any questions? And I believe I want to start this out by saying I apologize, because in my own situation, I am 1,220 days in as it relates to being involved with systems. Does not mean that is day one of the situation. Just 1,220 days in, where the system is also maybe what is the correct word, because language is important, where the system is aware of situations. And at the beginning of this, I did not know exactly what I was facing. I did not know how many individuals face some of the same issues. I have not faced everything, but I have gained knowledge on multiple topics. And I did not have the resources that I am willing to share with you, because time is very important, and just knowing what you may encounter is very important. Being forewarned about everything or many things that will be coming your way that you probably would have no idea that they're right down the road or at your next step. So I will say I could have, just so that I speak carefully. I could have been surprised at the reactions of individuals when I disclose specifics. I could have disclosed information to individuals that I could have deemed to be helpful. And I could have not understood at the time how important it is for someone to have knowledge of a thing in order to be the most helpful, and or someone to have the ability to gain, what word will I use, to gain the ability to gain helpful information as it pertains to domestic violence, and then use that information to direct the victim in the correct manner. I could have been led down paths I would today not choose to walk upon by individuals because of their titles, their outward appearance, their education, their perceived lifestyles. So when I will say that, with the saying that don't judge a book by its cover, make sure that it is understood that the pretty cover doesn't mean that the pages are filled with great things, and the not so pretty covers Doesn't mean that the pages are filled with not so pretty things or ungrateful things. And it also doesn't mean that all the pages are in one particular book are good, or all the particular pages in one particular book are bad. Oftentimes, I believed it was and still is up to me to pick out and retain the pieces that are best, that work best for my situation, and when to knowing when to let go of a book or some pages when those books or pages are not working for you is just as important in the situation. So I don't know what people need to know. Oh, and as I said, I started this because I wanted to say I apologize to each and every individual that has been, I will start out with the children. Every child that has been abused, especially if they have been abused sexually, but also if they have been abused in any other manner, if there's anyone out there that has been a victim of domestic violence, and I do encourage you to research what domestic violence entails, what it encompasses, and then speak upon whether or not you believed you were a victim of domestic violence, and speak about if you believed you were a victim of domestic violence, but after doing some research, you believed that so many aspects of your life involved domestic violence, and you were unaware that so many aspects of your life involved domestic violence. What I could have found is the pickings for agencies, or even an agency that can assist with children that have been sexually abused and domestic violence and just abuse in general. The pickings are slim. In some cases, there are no pickings at all. It could be that there are no pickings at all. It could be that individuals in particular positions are not at the top. I will say in the top, let's see, in the 80th, let's just say 70th percentile or more in their fields. I could believe that the training of these said individuals could be much greater, could be introduced to the individuals more often, as far as being retooled as time goes on and things change, and being able to readily identify an abuser could be just as important as being able to readily identify a victim. And I will say that if you are a child of a child that has been a victim of child sexual abuse, or an adult that was abused as a child, I wish I had the knowledge to provide to you, whoever you believe was set in place to help you but did not, or failed you. I wish I had the knowledge earlier. I wish I had the courage and strength earlier, because had I had the knowledge earlier, I believe the courage and the strength would have quickly followed. And it's just something I had to start, from the bottom up to this point. Not done yet. I still have more to learn and more work to do. But it is difficult. And I will say it is not your fault. And what, because something feels like it is your fault, does not mean it is your fault. Because something feels guilty does not mean that you are guilty. So I'm here to kind of point out certain things and answer certain questions. You may believe that it could have, should have, or would have been easy for someone to pick up on what you, or what a child believes, or what an adult believes are indicators of violence and abuse. But if someone on the other side does not know what those hallmarks are, there is absolutely no way that they can match them, pair them, link them to the abuse that has happened, is happening, or will happen in the future. And if you need clarification on how or why I strongly believe that those things could be true, just ask. Just place the questions in the comment section, and I will do my very best to answer all of the questions. If there are specific topics that people would like to talk about, that is something I'm willing to do. And what else can I say? If you are a victim of domestic violence, and all of it is domestic violence, but I do like to get more specific and say child sexual abuse and sexual abuse, and what people perceive just as domestic violence, because it's all under the umbrella of domestic violence, whether that is, in your repertoire or not. But it's difficult getting out of the what could I have done to change it back then, yesterday, 2 hours ago. Is different for everybody, right? Getting out of that mold, that pattern of thinking, it's a process. It is truly a process, and I am just here to provide an outlet, and hopefully to provide some, as I said before, some comfortability and a sea of uncomfortable chaos. I don't quite know what else to say. I guess my platform, if it is possible, I don't know if this is something that I can can do, but I will be willing to lead the abusers in a direction of help if that is possible. I don't know if it's something that I can do at this time, but I believe I have some connections or some resources that can lead to some healing and some positivity for the abusers, because I have done the best that I can do to look at the situation from all vantage points, or I don't want to say all, because who knows what all the vantage points are, but many of the vantage points, and try to assess domestic violence in its totality in an unbiased manner, because I do believe that there are abusers that were victims previously, and I'm just not sure how to heal the individuals that have a difficult time even acknowledging that, one, that they were victims, and two, it was not their fault, and three, the world today does not only work if you are victimizing another individual. It can work if you do not abuse. I don't know how I can convey that to an abuser. I'm not an abuser, so it may take another abuser that has battled that battle, or maybe even won that war, to be able to relate to that individual. But I can try for whatever it's worth. That is all I have to say. Let me know what questions you have, what topics you would like to cover. If you have stories and you feel as though you do not have a voice and you would like for me to put your story out there, you can send it to me. I will provide a link in that's embedded, and I guess on the YouTube side. You can also go to the coolnique.org website, and I will try to include a link to place your story there, or to share your story. And you can do that anonymously, and as long as you want it to be anonymous, or maybe they should all just be anonymous, so no one feels as though they are in jeopardy of being identified. So I will do that, because I believe that is a very important part of healing, just being able to find your voice and use your voice. That is something that I learned from the Women's Resource Center to end domestic violence. However, the views and opinions that I am providing are not the views and opinions of the Women's Resource Center to end domestic violence, because what I could have found, or what I do feel, is that finding my voice was a challenge, and was celebrated. But using my voice, that was great for me, but it's not celebrated as much, especially when truths are spoken. Finding the voice and using the voice. And then, as you can see, I am African American, And now my hair is in its natural state. And I do not believe that using my voice, or my voice paired with my aesthetics, I do not believe that that is celebrated. And that is sad, but don't let that hinder you from asking me questions and getting answers to help you get over this incredibly steep mountainous climb. My name is Astra Renee McCants West. I am a victim of domestic violence, and I don't know how this will be taken in this world that we live, but just so that I can remain here to help you, I think that y'all better laugh. Even though it's a sad topic, y'all better laugh. Because it's gotta be healing, and it is hurtful. I know it's painful, but I don't know. I don't know how else to get through and to bring someone else through if laughter is not involved. Doesn't mean that it does not mean that the topic is to be taken lightly. It's more in a vein of chopping it and dicing it to a particular degree so that it can be consumed properly, digested properly. Okay? So, y'all better laugh. Until next time. I don't know when that'll be. It depends on what questions I get and if I can come up with a topic that I believe should be first. But this is the first one. Look, put your information in the comments and we'll discuss whatever you would like to discuss. I may have to tell a story or two first so that people can gain comfortability in sharing. I don't know. See you later.